Hi, my name is Michael Previty, and this is my creative critical reflection for my magazine, Sizzling Sensations. This is my cover page, this is my table of contents, and this is my two-page feature spread. The first question is, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? When creating a food magazine or any magazine in general, there's always a few types. For food magazines, I found two types. A classic style, which has a big main picture of a food dish that is sleek, not too crowded, and not too many colors on the left. And then the other style is busier. It has multiple pictures of dishes, has more visual elements or information around the page, and has more colors on the right. I based my magazine on the classic style because when I was looking at hundreds of professional examples of food magazines from companies like Food Network, Feel Good Food, and Food and Wine, it was obvious that those companies like to make classic magazines more than crowded or busier ones. To, fo- to follow the question on the use of conventions, there are a few conventions that are crucial: the masthead, the cell line, the cover line, the puff, and the date. After all my research on magazines and looking at multiple professional examples, that's what I think is most important when creating a magazine. Here are a few examples I use from Feel Good Food magazines when making my magazine. This is my cover page. As you can see, I got inspiration from classic food magazines like Feel Good Food. To address the way I challenge conventions in my magazine is by not including a kicker on my cover page, because after playing around with the design on Canva and trying to fit one in, it wouldn't work out and didn't look right. Another element was the decision to fill up the left third of the cover page and not use strap lines or cover lines on the right hand side. The social issue I'm addressing is trying to spread the Italian culture of food all around the world, because not everyone has the ability to go fly to Italy and experience all the great food and amenities they have. So I'm trying to bring the Italian food to them with this magazine. In my table of contents, I include special recipes made by world-renowned chefs from Italy. All the chefs I mention in my magazine have Michelin star restaurants in Italy, and those recipes are the ones that they use in their restaurants. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for home chefs to get a little bit of Italian culture in their own kitchen. A popular social media influencer called Kristen Kubek took a trip to Italy and wrote about her experience. She summed up that experience pretty positively by saying, "You guys, food culture in Italy is so different than the United States." Question 2. How does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text? To answer this question, you must understand who my audience is in the first place. My audience is home chefs who are Italian and want to learn more about their food culture and who live in remote countries like the United States. Either young adults in their late 20s or older adults in their 40s and 50s would be the target audience. The audience for food magazines is usually more mature, with a good set of cooking skills, so that's why I think my audience will be a little bit older. My audience would engage with my magazine from shopping at retail stores like magazine shops, or bookstores, and even kitchen supply stores. Sizzling Sensations will have accounts on multiple social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. This allows us to communicate with our audience and get updates about where they can find our product too. Since our audience is usually older adults, you would see older adults using Facebook, Twitter more often than the younger audience or the younger generation. On top of that, online distribution will be possible through our website, Sizzling Sensations, with the access to order a copy of the magazine and to purchase an online copy of the magazine too. This will be very convenient for my audience too. With the combination of paper distribution in magazine shops and bookstores, social media accounts to give updates about the magazine, and a website with virtual access to the magazine, Sizzling Sensation should find every home chef easily. Question 3. How did your production skills develop throughout this project? Here's the only magazine I've created on Canva before. It was a little while ago, and back then I didn't have the experience or knowledge to create a well-designed magazine. Before starting this project, I had a minuscule amount of experience making blogs on Blogger and creating magazines on Canva. On top of that, the layout, taking pictures, choosing fonts, choosing masthead, colors, spacing, sizing, and designing was all a challenge to me. Photography was one of the biggest elements I improved on. When I started taking pictures for options of my cover page, I thought I was taking good quality pictures at good angles. I would just make food over the weekends and take pictures of it because I knew eventually I would need them for my project. The mistake I made was that I didn't do any research about what angles food pictures were taken at. After I investigated what it takes to capture the perfect image, I learned that the most common shots for food would be taken at an overhead shot or at 45 degrees. The first picture on the left was taken a while ago when I was making homemade pasta, and I decided to take a picture thinking I would need it for my project. As you can see, it is terrible. It is not centered, it is at a weird angle, there's other objects in the picture, it's just all over the place. The picture next to it was the picture of the pasta that when it was cooked after. I was going to use this, but the only problem with it is that the picture really isn't centered, and it just wasn't going to go up to my standards for the project. The last picture on the right was another time when I made homemade pasta, and I took a picture of it, but the only problem with this is that the bowl is cut out of the frame. That's my fault. Everything else was good about it. It's not too zoomed in, not too far out. It, I think it is a little too zoomed in maybe, but and that it's at like the perfect 45-degree angle too. This was the final picture I ended up using. It is my cover page, and for good reason. This was the pizza I made, and I took a picture of it right after it came out of the pizza oven. The lighting is perfect. I took the picture outside with an overhead shot that showed all the food, the vibrant colors of it, and I just think that this was a stunning picture, and I loved everything about it. But now, after hours of research, experimenting, and looking at other professional examples, they helped me create my magazine today. Through the process of making this project, I learned the skills of photography, using Blogger, using Canva, and magazine conventions. I've learned that the layout, design, colors, and pictures all contribute to the difference of a poor magazine and a professional one. You can see the improvement I've made compared to my first magazine. This is my table of contents on the old one and on the new one. This is my old feature spread on my old one and then onto my new one. Question 4. How did you integrate technology, software, hardware, and online into this project? The technologies I used to create this project was my Lenovo laptop and my iPhone. I used my laptop to allow me to use the internet to research content for my project and for using Canva and Blogger. I used my iPhone to capture pictures for my project. The software used was Google Search Engine, Canva, Blogger, Google Drive, Gmail, and the Apple Camera. I use Google as my main way of searching examples of content, and it's what I use for my research. I use Canva to design and create my cover page, table of contents, and feature spread. I use Blogger to document all my research I've been doing and to explain my thoughts and process. I use Google Drive to write all my information and document my research. I use Gmail to send the pictures from my iPhone to my laptop. And I use the Apple Camera app to capture the pictures I took. Throughout the process of making my magazine, I integrated many hardware and software technologies that all contributed to the final product of Sizzling Sensations.